I was curious if he ever spoke about this, and apparently he has spoken about this. So I'm going to take a look at it and see what he said. It should be very interesting.
If someone were to murder Alex or murder me, they already murdered themselves in that action. They already bestowed the punishment upon themselves. We are simply completing the task. When you take another person's life, you already took your own life.
I have concerns over things
That's
like the death
interesting.
penalty. Is it it's one of the 10 Commandments. You should not murder. So is it somehow justified because they're such a horrible criminal, or are they eliminating or changing the truth?
I think the Bible. I thought that because there's different translations, and then people have different interpretations of different translations. But I could have swore that it was "Thou shalt not kill." But I think what it is, if the true translation means murder, murder is different than just the act of killing. It's the intent behind it, I believe, which is different. Because if you're talking about an eye for an eye, well, then if you murder someone, then you are to have your life taken. So, I know what he's talking about with that because the punishment that comes with that, So, but let's see.
Trajectory of God's plan for what it was supposed to be, because they murdered somebody, and they didn't go when God was ready for them.
Great question. So I get this question a lot. So it does say do not murder. It does not say do not kill. So
Okay,
those
so
are
it's
two
the
different
opposite.
Hebrew words. Right?
Okay.
So to murder is a completely different thing than to kill. For example, you're allowed to kill in
And I thought they
self-defense.
were different.
Somebody comes into your house, you are allowed to take that life if your life is being put into jeopardy.
Okay.
In fact, to go a step further, the reason why it made sense to ancient Israel, did you know that a life for a life, otherwise known as the death penalty, is the only law that is in all 5 books of the Torah? It's the only law. Not even the Sabbath is in all 5 books of the Torah.
Wow.
Now, the Sabbath exists in Genesis, but it's not in all 5 books. So this idea of taking a life if you take a life, what is it rooted in? Why does it matter? Well, first of all, God is communicating to us the first thing. Taking human life is a major deal. That's God's first moral teaching in the Torah, that it's not to be trivialized. Let me give you another example. There's a law of the 613 laws of Judaism, of which we are not bound to the ceremonial law, which is one of them, that if an animal takes a human life, you must kill that animal.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, that's like, why do that? Well, what are you going to like?
I noticed if you see certain news stories about that, like people do that. I noticed, and I didn't know about that law in particular, but I noticed, you'll hear about a python eating somebody, or a shark, or an alligator, a crocodile killing someone. People will go out and hunt that and take it out. A lion, they'll go out and take it out. And I've heard that the reason is because once they've had a taste for human flesh, then it's different. Now they will hunt us continually, rather than it was a by chance thing because this person ran into it. You know what I mean? Let me see here what the reasoning is.
Oh yeah, that's Lenny. He killed my uncle, and say hi. Like, when you're going to keep that animal around, the only punishment imaginable for taking the thing that only we are made in the image of God. So if you take another image bearer's life, what could possibly be a just punishment for that? Well, according to the economy of God, it's that your life must also be taken.
Well, what are their names? Oh, now I forgot their names. But the guys that had the tigers and everything, and the tiger was, from what I understand, the tiger was protecting him and dragging him out of the way because it was fearful. So it knew them, they were always lounging around, had their tigers around them and everything. So, but the tiger's so powerful when it bit him, and he eventually succumbed to that, didn't he? To those injuries. And they said one of the first things that he said was, don't hurt the tiger. Like, don't hurt him, because he understood its nature.
And according to scriptural theology, we are not taking that person's life. When you take another person's life, you already took your own life. I want you to think about that. If someone were to murder Alex or murder me, they already murdered themselves in that action. They already bestowed the punishment upon themselves. We are simply completing the task. And think about it. Some people will say, but Charlie, it's not fair because of whatever sob story liberal reason. How is it, what is, and honestly, no. And I'll just close with
I didn't expect him to say that.
I'll kind of finish with this. But you know who it's not fair to? It's not fair to the victims.
Right.
You are cheapening the lives of the victims.
Yeah.
You are basically saying the victims die and you get to live.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to continue to live even though you took the lives of others. So for example, I think it's fundamentally wrong that
I think that is so strange though. Over the years, when I was growing up, I would always hear about people getting the death penalty, electric chair, lethal injection, whatever it was. But then the older I got, I started to notice that more and more people were getting life in prison instead. And I heard that the reason was that it was inhumane for the death penalty, which is worse, being locked in a box for the rest of your life or you being taken out early for taking other people's lives. I mean, there's some seriously savage people out there that have that. I'm not talking about the insane ones. I'm talking about the ones that they interview, the psychologists interview, and they find out that they're sane. And, they'll find out, oh, well, yeah, I did this and I did that to him. I just never done it before. I just wanted to see what it was like. What? Okay. Well, now you're going to find out what it's like to go the way that you sent them. You know what I mean? Like, you could say it's inhumane both ways if you wanted to. But what is the price for taking, you know what I mean? Like, what should be the price for taking someone else's life? And you were sane when you did it. You know what I'm saying? And you were just, oh, yeah, I wanted this car. So or I wanted this, or I was just angry that day. So I just did it. Well, you got to go. You know what I mean?
Creep who killed those 4 college kids in Muska, Iowa, that he gets to keep living. So he kills 4 college kids and he keeps on getting to have life. Mm-hmm. And those people don't. In order to say that those people's lives matter,
even a dude that becomes institutionalized, like there's certain guys that really learn to live in prison, almost enjoy it. It becomes their way of life. As a matter of fact, you've heard, with the shit like with Shawshank, I'm assuming that it's based on, certain real situations. Certain guys have been in there so long they don't know how to function when they get out. Some of them end up unaliving themselves. You know what I mean? They just can't function because they got so used to it in there. So certain dudes get used to it and have a good old time. Meanwhile, your victims are gone and never get to have a good time again.
Only just thing that we can reason ourselves to is to take that person's life. And that is not murder, that is killing, and it's societal self-defense.
Okay. So that's the difference. I knew it was something like that. Difference between the words of murder and killing. Interesting. So I assume with him saying that and with how people felt about gun laws and death penalty and firing squad, dude's probably going to get the firing squad and the death penalty. That's what I'm thinking. Especially with this being out there and the way it affected the country. But let me know what you all think. And I will talk to you all later. 10 million subscribers.